Now, earlier, Sheena mentioned that she's quite comfortable traveling alone as a female. I think there's a real misconception that it's dangerous and it's trouble. I assume you've traveled alone.
Yes.
No danger, no regret. Is it all just a lot of hyperbole? And if so, why is there such hyperbole about single females traveling alone, you think?
Well, I mean, I think there's danger for everybody, no matter even if you're traveling or living in different destinations. But I think as far as you're prepared and careful, you should be fine. So unless there's some obvious reason why you shouldn't go to a destination at a certain time, I do think it's a little overrated. The fear.
A little bit of hype.
Yeah.
A little bit of hype. So what do you tell, if someone's thinking about taking a Kentucky tour, mind you, I guess you're with the group, but if they're there, without any friends in the group per se, how's that person selling it to mom and dad? What's the pitch in order to get over there?
Well, I think that, a lot of mom and dads have heard of us before. We've been around for 50 some years.
Well
so
established,
yeah, I think that a lot of parents are encouraging of their loved ones to go travel. And a lot of them do feel more comfortable knowing that they're going to be in a group. Female travelers, it is a little bit of an intimidation factor, and being with a group is great because you can just meet other people, and half the group is solo, so you're going to be in the same boat.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that parents feel more comfortable knowing that although they're going out and they have this great, independent chance to find out who they are and about these destinations, they have that backup plan of a great tour manager to ask questions to if they need them, a fun group that watches each other's back.
Sure.
You had mentioned, having to watch your stuff and those kind of things. When you have a group looking out for each other, it just means that, it's elevating your own personal experience by not only having that safety factor, but you go to these places that, you've always dreamed about going to, and that picture perfect moment is great, but it's really who you spend that moment with that
Sure.
is the amplifying factor.
That bond is created.
Yeah.
Have you met friends traveling abroad that you still maintain friendships with that you can imagine will be a lifelong friendship?
Definitely. You interact with people and you're all sort of lost in the same place together. Or sometimes it's a local who's just helping you out and so excited to show you where they live and what it's like. I think there's great friendships. You have a lot in common and you definitely stay in touch.
I think that's a good point to be made, though, is that locals, generally in my travels, have been nothing but helpful. I think there's a misconception in some places around the world. People are just there to take advantage of you. They see you as a wealthy person who's got, something for them to gain from you. It's not the case, though, primarily at all, is it? I mean, I think that's a large misconception.
I agree. I mean, yeah, some people are trying to sell things because it's their day-to-day business, but they would do it to a local as well.
Yeah.
I think anyone would be excited to show someone their country and meet someone from another country. So yeah, I agree with you.
Now, travel, it sounds great, but it's not super affordable, or is it? Is there some ways to get around the world that are maybe a little bit more affordable than what people realize?
I think so. I think that, if you make it a priority, travel costs money, but it's not something that you can't achieve. If you look at what people spend their money on, I think the average Canadian spends $2,600 a year on lunches just because they're not making their own.
Seriously?
$3,900 a year on alcohol. It's little things that you can cut back on, like your daily coffees. You can put that money in a travel saving jar to make it happen. I also think that people don't realize that other factors play in. If you book in advance, you can save money. If maybe this year you're tight on budget and you want to go on a shorter trip, or you want to go during the winter season or shoulder season instead of peak summer, there's lots of ways to make it affordable.
You mentioned a 4-day trip.
Yeah, there's festival packages, so you can go to Amsterdam for New Year's, for example, which is what we're doing this year. Or I've done our sailing trips when I'm on a tighter budget. So, that's 8 days of sailing for $800, and you're getting accommodation and food and sightseeing. I can't stay in Edmonton for that. So
Even with our dollar the way it is.
It is, yeah.
You're able to be that competitive.
Yeah. So there's all sorts of ranges of budgets available, and it's just a matter of people deciding if they want to go and then just saving up their money. And I think the great thing is millennial travelers nowadays are realizing that experiences are more valuable than things. So instead of just buying that next cell phone or those kind of things, they're actually putting money towards
$200 pair
something
of
they'll remember.
jeans. It's get the memory instead. Would you agree with that, Stevie?
I think so, yeah. And I think there's a lot of ways you can save money. Flights and hotels, a lot of them are discounted often, and sometimes you just have to look up the right deal. And I think they're a great place to save money because meals and things like that are not in your control. So be a bit flexible, travel off season, and you definitely can pull it off.
Cool. Now, clearly it's important to research customs and laws, especially when you're going to a new land. I mean, I understand, Kentucky's really going to fill you in with a lot of that information. Somebody like yourself, though, Seema, who's got sort of traveling, on a whim, doing your own thing, where do you go to gather that information? I mean, there's the internet. What's the best source to really understand where it is you're going and to familiarize yourself with the laws of that country?
Well, I think official, embassy pages of every country.
Embassy pages. Okay.
Yeah, and as well as Canada does a really good job. Our government pages have, warnings and details that are really useful. So, if you're debating if you need a visa for a certain destination or not, definitely look at official websites because, everything else could be debatable.
Cool. Good advice. We're going to jump to our final rant pack break, folks. Stay with us.
Travel is important to get out there and see how other cultures live, how they develop, how they get through everyday problems. But I hate it when people go to another country and they come back with a different cultural mindset and say, this is how it should be. We should live like such and such. We should live like the Nigerians do, so happy, or we should live like the Filipinos or the Swedish or whatever. We're a multicultural country here, and I think that we have to solve our own problems. We can't rely on, oh, they do it this way, so let's do it that way. It's so much better over there. Well, if it's so much better over there, go there, live there, I don't care.
Do people maybe kind of put Canada at the back of their mind when they're thinking travel? I mean, you think our country's huge. There's a lot to see in Canada. Are people not traveling Canada for any particular reason, or they just want the exotic experience? Or maybe people are traveling Canada more than I think. Am I off the mark?
I think people are drawn to the exotic and different.
Yeah, I think so.
They want to see something that's a little bit different than their own backyard. But I mean, we do live in one of the most beautiful places in the world. So I think we both encourage people to travel anywhere you can, whether it's here or abroad. And even when you do travel abroad, people are going to ask you what home's like. It'd be great to be able to tell them some about your backyard because you've explored it.
Yeah, sure. I'll be honest though, I haven't been further than, I guess, Montreal. So I haven't seen I've seen enough, I guess, but I haven't seen the whole country. Have you seen all of Canada?
I've seen most of Canada, yes.
Is that right?
And I think it makes a difference if you were born here because you might take it, for granted. But I moved here 15 years ago, so my family is very excited to see the country, and yeah, I've seen most of it.
So you guys kind of all over Canada as a group?
Yes.
Look at that. That's awesome.
It's been great.
Are most popular travel destinations work friendly? If I wanted to travel to work in order to travel some more and get another job somewhere else, is that possible in this day and age? Can you still do that? I mean, visa periods, I know they vary. Is work available in most popular travel destinations?
Speaking as a former travel agent that used to send people on work trips, I think there is a possibility. It definitely helps if you're under 30 or under 35 because you can get visas a lot easier. Probably the most popular destinations for that would be the UK or Ireland, Australia and New Zealand, or the US, just because they have the easiest for Canadians to go and work and travel. And it is nice because places like Australia, for example, they'll only allow you to work 6 months at one job, and then they make you transfer to a different job to kind of encourage you to see a bit of the country as you go.
See, that's a fascinating program. That's how it'd be great if it worked like that all over. Why is it that under 35 is kind of what's leaned on as being, I guess, promoted, where over 35 you're just over the hump? Like, how does that work?
I think it depends on each country's own rules. I think New Zealand, for example, I believe is under 35, or Australia might be under 30.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I think it's just a matter of encouraging people to both travel and work and bring their expertise to different areas.
Fair enough.
And then after that, it becomes a little bit more difficult because they're looking for more long-term career people, and you could still apply in different channels.
Yeah, that stands to reason, sure. So there's travel and there's vacation. What's the big difference?
I think you get, more into a destination when you're traveling. A vacation you might be at a beach for a week and come back and not see most of the place, which is fine. Some beaches are beautiful, but I think you immerse yourself more in travel and are sort of more open-minded about exploring the place that you're in.
Same question.
I think it's tough to say. It's a bit of one and the same in my mindset. It's, again, all about what you want to see and do. And if you call it a holiday, if you call it travel or a gap year or whatever else, as long as you're getting out of it what you've chose to, then I think if you come home refreshed or learn something new, then you're a traveler.
If you're sitting on a beach just drinking beer all day, you're not traveling. Sorry, I don't know.
Don't think so?
I don't think so. I mean, you have to, if you're on a resort, I get it. If that's your home base, cool, and you want to get away from that and go and soak up some of the culture in the city that you're staying in, hopefully, then yeah, I guess you are traveling because you are absorbing some of the culture. But to me, if you're just sitting on a beach having a beer, no, you're not traveling. Tell me I'm wrong.
Sometimes you go to just the perfect beach and it's, a good enough trip. So I agree with you. I would want to see more of a destination. But sometimes, we don't live by the ocean. Just being by the ocean is really nice.
It is really nice.
Yeah, so it feels like a trip to me for sure.
Some people have never seen the ocean, so
it's a good point. Take a week and just enjoy the ocean. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
Although I do agree that the more you
Yeah,
immerse
of course.
yourself in the culture, the more you're going to come home with.
Of course.
Recently, the Calgary Board of Education canceled all, this is weird, I thought, it's, in my opinion, knee-jerk, but they canceled all upcoming student trips abroad based on security concerns. Was that a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, or do you think that's fair play? I mean, we're talking about kids. I don't know. Your opinion?
I think that they're going to react on the overcautious side, but I think they're in a position where they feel the need to do that, and we can't really argue with, the fact that parents are concerned for their kids. From the standpoint from Kentucky, I mean, the destinations we travel to, we deem safe. Our passengers' safety, our crew's safety are first and foremost the most important thing.
Yeah.
So if we're traveling there, then we're saying to our travelers, we'll keep you safe and accounted for and show you a great experience. So we are still running trips to destinations all over the world without any issue, but I understand how people are more cautious at this time.
Same question, Seema. What do you think? Is it fair for them to do that? I don't like the idea that kids aren't given that opportunity. I mean, these kids, I'm sure, were looking very forward to these trips. Security concerns, we've kind of always had security concerns around the world, regardless whether it be the terrorist thing, weather, whatever. There's always, you're never going to be completely safe. I don't like it. Do you like it? Do you understand where they're coming from?
Well, I think it's unfortunate because, the kids will miss out. But at the same time, I agree that, the Calgary Board can't take responsibility for so many kids and destinations. So I think kids should still travel. Maybe the parents can take them instead. But it's sort of it's too bad kind of a situation. Yeah.
What role does the media have in different countries? I mean, like a lot of us watch television, movies, and that's sort of like the impression that we have, which isn't always the case. I think local media did a great job of demonizing Mexico. You hear about what happens there. It's very rare that travelers in Mexico, I mean, sure, there's been some serious circumstances, some violence, but it's very, very few. And of course, it's blown out of proportion, and I think it really does affect their bottom line. I think local businesses, Transat, WestJet, some of these guys, people that will not go down there based on, the odd couple that ran into trouble, whatnot. It's got to be less than 1% when it comes to the amount of people that are going down there. Is the media always doing a fair job? Do they need to do more to try and level the playing field as far as visiting destinations is concerned and safety?
Well, I think the media tends to play into ratings, and although there are serious situations that happen in places, and that's not to be ignored, at the same time, there's also incredibly safe destinations and areas where the tourists are visiting that are nowhere near areas that they're reporting on. And I think it all comes down to, if companies like us are going, obviously we're worried about safety first. You were in these areas recently yourself, weren't you?
I was just down in Puerto Vallarta.
So how did you feel about Mexico?
Completely safe, completely safe. That's just it. I'm going to end it with that. That's all our time. Thank you both for being here, folks. That's it for now. You can get at us on Twitter. We're obviously on Facebook as well. Don't be a stranger. Reach out. Until next time, take care.